In a small town on the outskirts of a vast forest, a young girl named Lily was full of dreams and adventure. She loved exploring nature and spending time with her friends. One sunny Saturday, Lily and her friends decided to go camping in the woods. They packed their bags with snacks, sleeping bags, and flashlights, excited for a night under the stars. As the sun began to set, the sky turned shades of pink and orange. They set up their tents near a sparkling river and lit a campfire. They roasted marshmallows and shared stories, laughing as the sounds of the forest surrounded them. However, as the night deepened, the laughter slowly faded, and everyone settled into their tents, feeling cozy and safe. But in the darkness, something strange was happening above them. A spaceship, sleek and silver, hovered silently in the sky, hidden by the thick trees. Inside the ship, alien beings were watching the campsite, their glowing eyes filled with curiosity. They had traveled from a distant planet, searching for new creatures to capture for their experiments. They had heard about humans and were eager to learn more about them. Suddenly, a bright light shone down from the ship, illuminating the campsite. Lily, curious about the strange light, poked her head out of her tent. Before she could react, a beam shot down and lifted her off the ground. Her friends woke up, screaming and panicking as they watched Lily float higher and higher until she disappeared into the ship above. The aliens had taken her! When the beam stopped, Lily found herself inside the cold, metallic ship. She looked around in shock. Strange machines beeped and flashed, and the aliens, with their long limbs and big eyes, were staring at her. They communicated in strange sounds and gestures, making Lily feel frightened and alone. She realized she was far from home and had no idea what would happen next. Back at the campsite, her friends were in a state of panic. They searched the area, calling her name, but there was no sign of Lily. The bright light had vanished, and with it, their friend. They quickly gathered their things and ran back to town, their hearts pounding with fear. When they reached the town, they alerted their families. Lily's parents were devastated. They couldn't believe their daughter was missing. News spread like wildfire, and soon everyone was talking about the girl who had vanished in the woods. Local news stations reported on her disappearance, and search parties formed, combing the forest for any sign of her. Days passed, and the town felt heavy with worry. Posters with Lily's picture were plastered everywhere, and candlelight vigils were held to pray for her safe return. Meanwhile, the Galactic Council, a powerful group of alien species, received reports about the abduction. They saw humans as weak and insignificant, and their response was indifferent. They believed that humans were not worth their time, and dismissed the incident as unimportant. As the Galactic Council turned a blind eye to the situation, Lily's family and friends refused to give up hope. They knew they had to do something. They rallied the townspeople, urging them to fight for Lily's return. The people began to realize that they could not let this go unanswered. Together, they began to organize and prepare for a mission, determined to find and rescue Lily from her captors, setting the stage for a battle between humanity and the aliens. This was just the beginning. Little did the aliens know they had made a grave mistake by taking a human girl. The story of Lily's abduction would ignite a fire in the hearts of humans, awakening a force they had never seen before. And as the town united in their grief and anger, a plan was forming, one that would soon shake the very foundations of the alien worlds. After Lily's abduction, a cloud of fear and uncertainty hung over her small town. While search parties scoured the nearby woods, the news of her disappearance spread across Earth. Every news channel reported her story, showing her smiling face and urging anyone with information to come forward. But deep in the vast reaches of space, a different scene unfolded. The Galactic Council, an assembly of various alien races, held a meeting on their grand spaceship, the Star Citadel. This massive ship, glimmering like a diamond in the dark void of space, served as the heart of their government. Aliens of all shapes and sizes gathered in a huge chamber filled with advanced technology and holographic displays. They were discussing matters of great importance, from trade agreements to territorial disputes. Yet, in the corner of the room, news of Lily's abduction flickered on a screen, but it barely caught anyone's attention. Among the council members was Zorax, a tall alien with shimmering green skin and 3 eyes. He was known for his arrogance and dismissal of lesser species. As the news of Lily's kidnapping appeared on the screen, he let out a loud laugh. "Why should we concern ourselves with the affairs of these primitive beings?" he sneered. "They are hardly worth our time." His laughter echoed around the room, and many council members nodded in agreement. "They are just humans," said another member, a blue-skinned alien named Cleara. "We have bigger issues to deal with. The humans have always been weak and divided." As the meeting continued, discussions about important treaties and power dynamics took center stage. The abduction of a single human girl seemed trivial compared to the vastness of the galaxy and its political complexities. The Galactic Council felt no urgency to intervene. After all, they viewed humans as little more than a curiosity, hardly deserving of any attention or action. Back on Earth, however, the situation was different. Lily's family was distraught, feeling helpless as they watched the Galactic Council ignore their cries for help. The girl's mother, Sarah, spent sleepless nights worrying about her daughter, wondering what was happening to her in the alien ship. Each passing day without news deepened her despair, fueling a growing anger within the community. The townspeople began to gather in parks and community centers, sharing their fears and frustrations. They held rallies carrying signs that read, "Bring Lily home, and we demand justice." People from neighboring towns joined them, creating a movement that grew larger every day. They felt an overwhelming need to take action and show the aliens that humans were not to be underestimated. As the townspeople organized, they reached out to the government, demanding military support to find Lily. They wrote letters to leaders, begging them to take a stand against the alien kidnappers. News outlets picked up the story, broadcasting the human spirit and resilience, showing that they would not sit idly by while one of their own was taken. Despite the Galactic Council's indifference, whispers of Lily's plight began to circulate among some of the more sympathetic alien races. A few began to question the Council's decision to ignore the human girl's abduction. "Is it right to dismiss them?" one alien asked, his voice quiet but firm. "They have feelings just like us. If we do not help, who will?" But the majority of the Council remained unconvinced, laughing off the notion that humans could pose a threat. They underestimated the power of a united human spirit, believing their advanced technology and status would keep them safe from any backlash. Little did they know that the seeds of rebellion were being planted on Earth. As news of Lily's abduction spread, the people on Earth became increasingly frustrated with the Galactic Council's indifference. The more the aliens ignored their cries for help, the more determined humanity became to take action. They were not just going to sit back and wait for their girl to return. They were ready to fight. In the small town where Lily lived, community gatherings turned into rallies. People wore T-shirts that read, "Bring Lily home," and "Humans Unite." The streets were filled with passionate voices calling for justice. The energy was electric, and a sense of purpose filled the air. People from all walks of life joined the cause: students, parents, teachers, and even veterans, all united by a common goal: to rescue Lily and show the aliens that humans were not weak or helpless. Local leaders began to take notice of the growing movement. They organized town hall meetings where families shared their fears and hopes for Lily's safe return. Inspired by the community's strength, they decided to approach the government for help. They wrote letters and petitions, demanding military support. The urgency of the situation became clear as more and more people raised their voices. Meanwhile, in a high-security government facility, a group of top military officials gathered to discuss the situation. They had been monitoring the news and the outpouring of support from the public. "We cannot ignore this," General Roberts said firmly. "A human girl has been taken, and if we don't act, it will only send a message that we are weak." The military officials agreed, and soon they were discussing plans to locate the alien ship. They gathered information from scientists and experts on extraterrestrial technology, hoping to find a way to track the aliens. The atmosphere in the room was tense but charged with determination. They understood that this mission was not just about Lily, it was about proving to the universe that humanity would not back down from a challenge. As the military prepared, the townspeople continued their efforts. They set up a command center in the community center, filled with maps and computers. Volunteers worked around the clock, analyzing data and searching for patterns that might lead them to Lily. The community was alive with hope, and everyone felt they were part of something bigger than themselves. News outlets continued to cover the story, broadcasting images of Lily and interviews with her friends and family. The media's attention brought the situation to the forefront, and the world began to watch. People from all over the globe joined the cause, sharing their own stories of love, courage, and the unbreakable bond of family. As the military finalized their plans, they began to gather equipment for the mission. Advanced technology, fighter jets, and specialized troops were readied. The world held its breath, knowing that humanity was preparing for battle. Posters with the phrase "Operation Rescue Lily" appeared everywhere, symbolizing their commitment to bring her home. The anger against the Galactic Council grew. Social media exploded with messages of solidarity and calls for action. Hashtags like #E Save Lily and #Darky Humans Fight Back trended worldwide. Activists urged people to support the military and share their resolve. The world was waking up, and the message was clear. Humanity would no longer be dismissed. In the days leading up to the rescue mission, a sense of unity filled the air. People shared meals, stories, and laughter, building friendships that would last a lifetime. They were united by hope, anger, and love. The collective fury of humanity had transformed into a powerful force, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. As the military set their sights on the stars, the townspeople and supporters gathered in a large field, holding hands and standing together under the night sky. They looked up at the stars, imagining Lily safe and sound. They sent their thoughts and prayers into the universe, determined to bring their girl home. The time for action was near, and humanity was ready to fight for what was right. The stage was set for a confrontation that would change everything. The day of the rescue mission finally arrived. The sun rose over the town, casting a golden glow on the faces of the determined people gathered at the community center. Excitement mixed with anxiety as they prepared to take action and bring Lily home. The military had spent days getting ready, and now it was time to put their plan into motion. In the command center, military personnel reviewed their strategy one last time. General Roberts stood at the front, pointing at a large screen that displayed a map of the area around the last known location of the alien ship. "We have detected a strong energy signature coming from this point in the forest," he explained. "This is where we believe they are keeping Lily. Our goal is to approach quietly, rescue her, and get out before they know what hit them." The troops were equipped with high-tech gear designed for stealth and speed. They wore dark uniforms that blended into the night, and each soldier carried advanced tools for communication and defense. They knew the aliens would not give up Lily easily, but they were ready for whatever challenges lay ahead. The air buzzed with adrenaline as the troops gathered their equipment and prepared to board the transport vehicles. Meanwhile, back in town, the community was buzzing with anticipation. People gathered in groups, holding signs and chanting slogans of support for the rescue mission. Families shared stories about Lily, remembering her smile and laughter. Children painted colorful banners with messages like "Bring Lily home" and "We believe in heroes." The whole town was united in hope, and they felt proud to be part of something bigger than themselves. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the time for the rescue mission drew near. The military vehicles rolled out of the community center, heading toward the forest. The townspeople watched with bated breath, knowing they were taking a stand against the aliens who had kidnapped one of their own. They waved goodbye, sending their love and support as the soldiers drove away. Once the military arrived at the designated location, they set up a command post in the woods. Using high-tech scanners, they searched for the alien ship. The soldiers moved quietly, knowing that any sound could alert the aliens. With their hearts racing, they followed the signals that led them deeper into the trees. As they moved forward, they communicated with one another through earpieces, sharing information and keeping each other safe. After a tense hour of searching, they spotted the alien ship hovering above the ground. It was unlike anything they had ever seen, with smooth, metallic surfaces and strange symbols glowing softly. The sight of it filled them with determination. They had come too far to turn back now. General Roberts signaled for the team to halt. "We need to approach carefully," he whispered. "We don't know how many aliens are on board." The troops moved stealthily toward the ship, keeping low and hidden behind trees and bushes. The adrenaline coursed through their veins, and they were ready for action. As they got closer, they noticed a ramp leading up into the ship. The soldiers took positions around the entrance, ready to move in. General Roberts counted down with his fingers. 3, 2, 1. At his signal, they rushed up the ramp and entered the ship, their hearts pounding. Inside, the ship was dark and filled with strange sounds. Beeping machines and alien chatter filled the air. The soldiers quickly spread out, scanning for signs of Lily. They moved with purpose, knowing that time was crucial. They passed through eerie hallways, trying to avoid detection from the aliens who roamed the ship. Suddenly, they heard a faint voice calling out, "Help! Someone, please!" It was Lily! The soldiers exchanged glances, determination igniting within them. They rushed toward the sound, leading them to a room filled with strange machinery. There, they found Lily bound to a table with alien devices surrounding her. "Lily!" one of the soldiers shouted as they rushed to her side, quickly working to free her. As they unfastened her restraints, they could see the fear in her eyes transform into hope. "We're here to save you," they reassured her. But just as they freed her, alarms began to blare throughout the ship. The aliens had discovered the intruders. The soldiers knew they had to act fast. "We have to get out of here now," General Roberts commanded, and they all dashed toward the exit, Lily in tow. With their hearts racing and the alarms echoing behind them, the soldiers fought their way back through the ship, determined to make it out alive. The rescue mission was far from over, and every second counted. The fight for freedom had only just begun. The soldiers, along with Lily, raced through the dark corridors of the alien ship. The alarms blared louder, echoing through the halls like a warning bell. They could hear the sound of alien voices shouting as their pursuers began to close in. General Roberts led the way, determination etched on his face. "Stay close! We have to get to the exit!" he shouted, urging everyone to move faster. Lily, still shaken from her experience, ran as fast as she could. She could hardly believe that she was being rescued by brave humans. As they neared the exit, the group encountered a group of aliens blocking their path. The soldiers quickly took defensive positions, ready to protect Lily at all costs. The aliens were tall and had strange, glowing eyes. They communicated in a series of clicks and beeps, clearly agitated by the unexpected intrusion. General Roberts raised his weapon, his heart pounding, knowing they had to fight. "On my mark, we take them down," he ordered, adrenaline coursing through his veins. In a distant galaxy, leaders from various alien races gathered in a grand council chamber. They were proud and powerful, boasting about their advanced technology and superior biology. As they sat around a massive round table, they discussed their upcoming war against Earth. Their voices echoed with confidence as they dismissed humans as primitive creatures, incapable of standing up to their might. One alien, a tall being with shimmering skin and sharp features, leaned forward and scoffed, "These humans rely on outdated weapons and brute strength. They have no chance against our advanced technology." The other leaders nodded in agreement, each sharing stories of how they had easily crushed lesser species in the past. They were convinced that humanity would be just another easy target. Meanwhile, on Earth, a soldier named Alex was preparing for battle. He was part of a special forces unit, trained for high-stakes missions. As he laced up his boots, he felt a mix of fear and determination. He understood the aliens viewed humans as weak, and that perception weighed heavily on him. Alex thought about the conversations he had overheard, where alien commanders laughed at the idea of humans being warriors. This only fueled his desire to prove them wrong. As the war began, the human forces were met with a brutal assault from the aliens. The skies darkened with ships hovering above, unleashing torrents of fire. Alex and his fellow soldiers fought fiercely, but they quickly realized how overwhelming the alien technology was. Lasers cut through their ranks, and their vehicles were no match for the aliens' advanced weaponry. Many soldiers fell, and fear gripped the hearts of those who remained. But amid the chaos, Alex remembered the training that had prepared him for this moment. He had learned that survival meant thinking on his feet. Instead of following the aliens' predictable patterns, he ordered his team to use the landscape to their advantage. They took cover in the ruins of old buildings and used the dense forests for ambushes. Alex led the charge, his heart pounding with adrenaline. Despite the initial setbacks, the human spirit shone through. In one encounter, Alex and his unit managed to outsmart a group of alien soldiers. They set up traps and used simple but effective tactics to turn the tide of the skirmish. The aliens were caught off guard, and for the first time, they felt a flicker of doubt about their superiority. As the battles continued, the humans began to adapt. They started to rely on their instincts and creativity, utilizing every resource they could find. Alex's leadership inspired his team, and they began to believe in themselves. They worked together, forming a bond that strengthened their resolve. They were no longer just a group of soldiers, they had become a family fighting for each other. Meanwhile, the alien leaders were watching from their command ships, stunned by the unexpected resilience of the humans. They had expected an easy victory, but now they faced a formidable foe. The laughter and mockery that once filled the council chambers were replaced by silence and uncertainty. In the heat of battle, Alex and his team had proven that they were more than just primitive beings. They were fighters, adapting and learning, fueled by a spirit that refused to give in. This realization began to shift the perception of the alien races, as the humans' tenacity challenged their assumptions about what it meant to be strong. The stage was set for an epic conflict, and both sides were about to learn just how far the human spirit could go. As the war against the aliens raged on, the human soldiers faced a brutal and harsh reality. The initial confidence they had felt was quickly replaced by the weight of despair and fear. The relentless assault from the alien forces took a heavy toll, and each day brought new challenges that pushed them to their limits. Alex and his team had been deployed to the front lines, where they witnessed firsthand the destruction caused by the alien technology. Huge ships loomed above them, dropping bombs and firing lasers that lit up the sky like lightning. The ground shook beneath their feet, and the sound of explosions echoed in their ears. It was unlike anything they had ever experienced, and it left many of them shaken and afraid. The once vibrant fields and cities of Earth were now battlefields. Buildings lay in ruins, and smoke filled the air. Every time Alex looked around, he saw the faces of his comrades, filled with fear and uncertainty. They were brave, but the fear of losing their lives weighed heavily on their hearts. In quiet moments, he could hear them whispering their worries, wondering if they would ever see their families again. One day, after a particularly devastating attack, Alex and his unit found themselves holed up in an abandoned building. They were exhausted and low on supplies, their morale shattered. The aliens were closing in, and it felt like hope was slipping away. As they gathered to discuss their next move, Alex could see the doubt in their eyes. They were not just fighting for their lives, they were fighting against the idea that they could ever win against such a powerful enemy. Alex took a deep breath and reminded them of their training. We are not just soldiers, we are human beings. We may be outnumbered, but we have something they don't: our spirit. We fight for each other and for everyone back home. We can't give up now. His words sparked a flicker of determination among his comrades, but the fear remained. That night, they heard the distant sound of alien ships approaching. Alex knew they had to act quickly. He devised a plan that involved using their surroundings to their advantage. They could set traps and ambush the aliens instead of waiting to be attacked. It was a risky move, but it was their best chance. As they prepared, Alex felt a mix of fear and adrenaline. He understood the reality of war. They could lose everything in an instant. When the aliens arrived, Alex and his team sprang into action. They moved silently, taking advantage of the cover of darkness. As the aliens entered the area, they triggered traps set by the humans. Explosions lit up the night, and the element of surprise caught the aliens off guard. For a moment, victory seemed within reach. The humans fought bravely, using their ingenuity and teamwork to push back against their enemies. However, the harsh reality of war soon caught up with them. Despite their efforts, the aliens regrouped quickly, counterattacking with ferocity. Alex watched in horror as several of his comrades fell in battle. The sounds of their cries echoed in his mind, and he felt the weight of loss bearing down on him. Each fallen soldier was a reminder of the high cost of this war, and it made him question if they could truly win. As the battle raged on, the alien forces overwhelmed them. It was a brutal reminder of the stakes they were facing. Exhausted and battered, Alex knew they needed to regroup and rethink their strategy. In the midst of despair, he began to understand that war was not just about physical strength, it was also a test of the human spirit. They had to dig deep, find their courage, and remember why they were fighting. The reality of war was harsh, but within the darkness, Alex and his team began to find small glimmers of hope. They learned to rely on each other, to trust in their shared strength. Each battle brought its challenges, but it also taught them resilience. As they continued to fight, they discovered that the human spirit, though battered, was unbreakable. This realization would become their greatest weapon in the battles to come. As the war continued to take its toll, Alex and his fellow soldiers began to embrace their humanity in ways they had never imagined. In the face of overwhelming odds and advanced alien technology, they discovered that their primitive nature was not a weakness, but a strength. This realization shifted their tactics and gave them a new sense of purpose. After surviving several intense battles, Alex gathered his team to discuss their next move. They were tired and worn down, but they were not defeated. "We need to stop trying to fight them on their terms," Alex said, his voice firm. "We have to use what makes us human, our creativity and our instincts. We may not have their advanced weapons, but we can outsmart them." The soldiers listened intently, nodding in agreement. They knew that traditional warfare had not been working. Instead of relying solely on guns and bombs, they decided to adopt guerrilla tactics. This meant using the landscape to their advantage, setting up traps and launching surprise attacks. They would become hunters in their own right, using their surroundings to turn the tide of battle. The team moved into the forest, where they could hide and prepare their strategy. They set traps made from simple materials like ropes and branches, creating pitfalls and snares that could catch the unsuspecting aliens. They even learned to camouflage themselves, blending in with the environment. Alex watched as his team worked together, their confidence growing with each small victory. The sense of unity among them became their greatest weapon. One day, while scouting, Alex stumbled upon an abandoned alien outpost. It was equipped with advanced technology, but it was also a perfect opportunity. Instead of attacking head-on, Alex devised a plan to infiltrate the base and gather information. They would go in quietly, using stealth rather than brute force. This mission was risky, but they all agreed it was necessary. Under the cover of darkness, Alex led his team toward the outpost. They moved silently, their hearts racing with adrenaline. As they approached, they could see alien guards patrolling the area. Alex instructed his team to stay low and move in the shadows. They successfully slipped past the guards, using their knowledge of the terrain to avoid detection. Inside the outpost, they found valuable intelligence about the alien forces. This information would help them understand the enemy's strategies and weaknesses. Alex couldn't help but feel a surge of pride for his team. They were not just fighting, they were adapting and overcoming obstacles that had once seemed insurmountable. As they returned to their base, the soldiers felt a renewed sense of hope. They realized that being human meant embracing their instincts and working together as a team. They no longer viewed themselves as inferior. Instead, they took pride in their ability to adapt and think creatively, qualities that the aliens had underestimated. With each successful mission, Alex and his team grew more confident. They launched surprise attacks on alien supply lines, disrupting their resources and creating chaos among the enemy ranks. The aliens, who had once dismissed humans as weak and primitive, were now forced to take them seriously. They began to realize that the humans' unpredictability made them a formidable opponent. The humans' unique approach to warfare also drew attention from other alien factions. Some began to see the value in negotiating with humans instead of outright destruction. It was a turning point in the war. The once overconfident aliens started to feel the weight of uncertainty, and that was a victory in itself. As Alex and his team continued to fight, they discovered the power of embracing their humanity. They had learned that they could use their primitive instincts to outsmart an enemy that had underestimated them. The strength of the human spirit shone brightly, proving that resilience, creativity, and teamwork could overcome even the most daunting challenges. In the heart of battle, they had transformed from mere soldiers into warriors, ready to face whatever came next with courage and determination. As the war dragged on, the challenges faced by Alex and his team deepened the bonds of friendship among them. Each battle brought with it not only danger but also moments that solidified their connection as brothers in arms. They were no longer just soldiers, they had become a family, united by shared experiences and a common goal. The nights were often the hardest. After long days of fighting, the soldiers would gather around small fires in their makeshift camp. They would share stories of home, dreams for the future, and memories of laughter. These moments of connection brought them comfort amidst the chaos of war. One night, as they sat together, Alex looked around at his comrades, their faces illuminated by the flickering flames. He felt a sense of warmth and pride, knowing that they had each other's backs no matter what. One of the soldiers, a young man named Mark, had lost his brother in battle. The grief weighed heavily on him, and he often withdrew into himself. Alex noticed this and made it his mission to help Mark through his pain. He would often sit beside him, encouraging him to share his feelings. Slowly, Mark opened up, sharing stories about his brother and how much he missed him. Alex listened, offering support and understanding. This bond grew stronger, and soon Mark began to smile again, knowing that he wasn't alone in his grief. As they trained and fought together, the team became more in sync. They learned to anticipate each other's moves, developing an unspoken language on the battlefield. In one particular mission, they needed to infiltrate an alien base to gather crucial supplies. Alex's heart raced as they approached the heavily guarded area. He knew they had to rely on each other completely. When the moment came to execute their plan, they moved as one, trusting each other implicitly. This synergy led them to success, and they returned with valuable resources that would help them continue their fight. With each victory, the bond of brotherhood among them deepened. They celebrated together after each successful mission, no matter how small. These celebrations were not just about the victories, but also about the relationships they had built. They shared laughter, camaraderie, and a sense of belonging. They were not just fighting for their lives, they were fighting for each other, and that made them stronger. But the war was unforgiving, and loss was a constant companion. During one fierce battle, the team faced a brutal assault from the aliens. Despite their best efforts, they were overwhelmed, and one of their own, a brave soldier named Jake, fell during the fight. The loss hit them hard, and the grief was palpable. Alex felt a surge of anger and sorrow as he held Jake's lifeless body. In that moment, he vowed to honor his fallen friend by continuing the fight. The soldiers came together to mourn Jake. They shared stories about him, remembering the laughter and kindness he had brought into their lives. In their hearts, they made a promise to carry on his legacy. This tragedy only strengthened their resolve to fight harder, knowing that they were not just battling for their survival, but also for the memory of their fallen brother. As the war progressed, Alex often found himself reflecting on how far they had come. From the early days of fear and uncertainty to this tight-knit group of warriors, they had transformed. The bonds of brotherhood they had forged made them resilient. They had learned that strength came not just from individual bravery, but from the love and support they gave one another. In the heat of battle, when fear threatened to overwhelm them, it was their connection that pulled them through. They fought not only for their lives, but for the lives of each other. This deep sense of brotherhood became their greatest weapon against the alien forces. No matter the odds, they would face whatever came next together, united by a bond that was unbreakable. Through loss and triumph, they learned that the true essence of humanity was not in their technology or physical strength, but in the relationships they built and the love they shared. As they prepared for the next phase of the war, Alex knew that their strongest weapon would always be the bonds of brotherhood that held them together. After months of relentless fighting, the war was finally coming to a close. The battles had been fierce, and many lives had been lost, but the spirit of Alex and his team remained unbroken. They had fought bravely and made sacrifices, and now, as the dust began to settle, a hard-earned peace was within reach. The aliens, once confident in their superiority, were now weary from the continuous conflict. They had underestimated the humans and paid a heavy price. As the humans took the initiative to negotiate, Alex felt a mix of hope and anxiety. Would the aliens be willing to listen? Would they accept the idea of peace after all the pain they had caused? One evening, after a long day of preparing for negotiations, Alex gathered his team around the campfire. He could see the weariness in their eyes, but he also saw a flicker of determination. "This is our chance," he said, his voice steady. "We need to show the aliens that we are not just warriors, but also peacemakers. We can end this cycle of violence." His words resonated with the soldiers, and they nodded in agreement. The next day, they met with the alien leaders at a neutral site, a lush valley far from the battlefield. It was a place of beauty, filled with vibrant colors and the sounds of nature. Alex hoped that this peaceful setting would remind everyone of what they were fighting for, a chance for a future without war. As they stood face to face with the alien leaders, tensions were high. Alex took a deep breath and spoke from the heart. "We have both suffered greatly. This war has cost us so much, lives, families, and dreams. We need to put aside our differences and find a way to live in peace." His words echoed through the valley, and he could feel the weight of the moment. The alien leaders, once arrogant and dismissive, listened intently. They were tired of the constant fighting and the losses they had suffered. After a long discussion, they began to see the truth in Alex's words. They understood that continuing the war would only bring more pain to both sides. After hours of negotiation, an agreement was finally reached. The aliens would withdraw their forces and recognize Earth as a sovereign planet. In return, the humans promised to share their resources and knowledge with the alien worlds. It was a difficult compromise, but both sides knew it was necessary for a lasting peace. As the agreement was signed, a sense of relief washed over Alex and his team. They had fought hard for this moment, and now it was a reality. They embraced one another, tears of joy streaming down their faces. The bond they had formed through battle had led them to this victory, not just for themselves, but for all of humanity. In the days that followed, the atmosphere shifted. The news of the peace agreement spread quickly, and celebrations erupted across Earth. People rejoiced, grateful for the bravery of the soldiers who had fought for their freedom. Families were reunited, and the hope of a brighter future shone brightly in their hearts. Alex and his team returned home as heroes. They were greeted with cheers and gratitude, but they remained humble. They understood that while they had won the war, it was now their responsibility to build a new world together, one based on understanding and cooperation. In the months that followed, the humans and aliens worked side by side to rebuild what had been lost. They shared knowledge, technology, and culture, learning from one another. Alex watched as bridges were built, both literally and figuratively. The once divided groups began to form friendships, breaking down the barriers of fear and mistrust. As he stood on a hill overlooking the bustling city, Alex felt a deep sense of satisfaction. He knew the road ahead would not be easy, but they had taken the first crucial steps toward lasting peace. The sacrifices made by him and his brothers in arms had not been in vain. With each passing day, they moved closer to a world where war was a distant memory and cooperation reigned. The hard-earned peace was a testament to their resilience and the bonds of brotherhood they had forged. Together, they had turned the tide of history.